For this week's TLDR, we're going to be talking about the differences between Korea and China.
Well, not all of China.
Not all of China.
China's pretty huge.
We were just in Beijing for a few days and we noticed a few recognizable differences between Seoul and Beijing. Maybe your experiences are different from ours, but we're going to talk about what we noticed that was very different.
Point number one, Korea. We have an apology to make to you.
I'm sorry, Korea.
I'm really sorry that we ever said that your driving was bad.
Oh,
I am so sorry. I take it back.
Now that we drive in Korea, there are some things that still piss us off, but I cannot imagine driving in Beijing.
Why did you bother putting down lanes?
Like, what is the point of the signal thing that you have? Like, it's supposed to tell where you're going, but everyone's just like merging in with each other.
Okay,
like...
so imagine a 5-lane highway, and it's got those little lines on the ground. I think they're called lanes, but it's just a suggestion for perhaps where you're aiming. This is driving in Beijing.
Very accurate representation right there.
There's like no signals. The two of us are just holding each other in the car like, we're gonna die.
Yeah. And when we were in the rickshaw, traffic was coming this way and our rickshaw was like playing literal
like, I can make it.
It's not your light. Just wait, please. This is my life we're talking about here.
Remember we did our TLDR on driving in Korea.
And I don't think there's a Korean person who could really deny this. How dare you? Korean driving is safe.
We are
and
great at driving.
we stop at all the red lights.
We obey the law.
And the taxi drivers would never try to kill you. And a bus would never knock down old women who are trying to find their seats. Like, everyone knows this, okay? No denial.
But the comment section had a lot of people who said, oh, you're complaining about Korean traffic?
Yeah.
You should come to China.
Okay.
And then also people in India.
Okay.
So now we've never been to India,
Never
so
been
I
to
don't
India
know.
yet. I'm not sure. China or India.
You guys
Who's
fight it
got the
out
worst
if you've
driving? I
been
don't know.
there.
All I know is that Korea's driving is not perfect, but it's not the worst that I've experienced.
Yeah. Korea.
Point number 2. Beijing's skyline and architecture is so much nicer than Korea's.
I actually disagree with you on this point.
Okay, well, let me say my point first, because what I noticed about Beijing...
Where's your conch shell? They find something that I can hold. That's conchy.
Hold yourself, woman. What I noticed about Beijing is that the buildings are a lot wider and there's a lot more land in between them. So as a result, the buildings could be bigger. While in Korea, it's like, here's the first floor of this business, second floor has this business, third floor has a gym, fourth floor has a swimming pool, fifth floor has offices, sixth floor has hagwons. While Beijing, everything is spread out and there's so much diversity in there also. So I actually like the way Beijing's skyline look.
How can Korea help their building vertical if they have less land? China's like the third largest country.
No, I totally agree with
Oh
that.
my god, I'm turning into like a defensive, patriotic Korean person.
Yes, the gukbang.
Oh yeah.
How dare you say anything about Korea? It's perfect. Totally understand Korea's situation, which has very limited real estate, but I just appreciate
the
bigger architecture
Okay.
because I don't like feeling like I'm in tiny cramped spaces like I am in Korea because I'm a big guy. And Beijing let me feel more open.
Okay, what I will say is I agree that the buildings are actually kind of funkier looking because like when we first drove from the airport, everyone has the same comment, which is that the Korean apartments look exactly the same. Like, it's really kind of like striking when you drive into the city. You're like, okay, what?
Very homogenous.
Beijing had a couple of buildings like that kind of look the same, but mostly even the apartment buildings all look different.
Different roofs as well, like different like balconies sticking out, like they had diversity there.
Yeah.
So you agree with me?
No.
Yay!
No, I don't agree with you because I actually really love the Korean skyline. I don't know what it is. When I drive over that bridge or on the subway between like Hapjeong and Yeouido, it's like my favorite view.
Can you play cheesy music over this part right here, please, editor?
I will because I'm editing it with the editor. It's me.
The memes!
Okay, so I'm gonna put rock and roll music over it and you're gonna get all the cheesy music. Point number 3, we found that Beijing had a lot more foreigners and a lot more foreign stuff. Like we went to that foreign market that had
so much cheeses!
that sounded like a holy name there. And although we did see a lot of foreigners, it seemed like a lot of them were in suits.
Yeah.
So maybe we were in like a special neighborhood, but despite all the foreigners we saw, we seem to get more stares than we do in Korea.
I have no idea why. Like, well, my guess is because a lot of the foreigners there are very professional looking, at least the ones that we saw.
Professional.
While Martina's got like half pink hair and we both have like half sleeves here. So like we actually saw a guy on a bike that like when he saw us, he did like a full 180-degree turn as he was driving away, and I want to be like, your life is about to die. There's traffic going to kill you.
It could be that. It could be that we just look very odd.
Or maybe Korean people have become more subtle in looking. They have the
like
sunglasses on.
Oh, they have those glasses that
Yeah,
go
the
G market.
Yeah.
The G market ones that go down, but they
Yes,
the ones
the
that go
mirrors are
sideways.
glasses.
It could just be that I'm weird.
I think you're weird.
But
hey, it's okay.
But
you're special. You're so beautiful, special. When I first saw you,
Fell
fell in
in
love
love,
with you.
yeah.
Point number 4. Something I really appreciate about Korea is that the men here don't roll up their shirts to expose their bellies and then scratch their stomachs and slap them in public. I saw a lot of that in Beijing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's a trend that's actually going to transfer over to Korea. I sure hope not, because I didn't really like seeing all the guts and the scratching
okay,
in
you know
Beijing.
what? We talked to somebody, like we stopped by some nasties,
Yeah.
and we chatted with them, and we said, like, what's up with this whole stomach
called
thing?
turning on the AC. Something interesting that we
Why
talked
do they just
about on the
wear
way
crop
here.
tops?
Yeah. We saw a guy in the hotel. He has like
It was
fancy
amazing.
linen shirt, and it was gorgeous.
covered in, like-
and you saw the back; it had like tails. But then when he turned around, it was actually cut so that
Like,
his stomach was. He didn't
was-
roll it up; it was physically cut so that his stomach could hang
And it
out.
was so shocking because on this side of him,
Yeah.
you just saw this long, funky shirt, and then on this side of him, we were like, dun, dun, like,
But the one thing that you and I wound up discussing is that in Korea, I don't think I've ever seen a shirtless man.
no, never.
Like, people always wear the clothing regardless of how hot it is.
That's why
I
we
haven't
were
seen
saying
anyone
they're so
expose
well-dressed.
Yeah, or their nipples. Like, everyone's always keeping, like, from here to here covered. There's a lot of modesty in men here in Korea.
Okay, but you know what? I think the only time I've ever seen, and this is like really digging back into my mind palace.
Yeah.
I might have seen some Korean guys when it's really hot drinking makgeolli.
Yeah.
Old Korean dudes.
Yep.
And they had like those tank tops on. Well, not
Tank
tank,
tops,
tops,
yeah.
like undershirts. Like they have a button shirt over.
But no belly buttons and no nipples exposed.
But I mean, that's really rare.
Yeah.
Maybe in the countryside. If you live in the countryside, let us know if people are walking around shirtless going like, woo, woo, woo.
New campaign. Korean men, show us your nipples.
And our last point is that Beijing's air
Killed us. Destroyed us.
Okay, we were being prepped in advance by people saying
Yeah.
that we've talked about yellow dust before,
Uh-huh.
and you might have seen us if you follow us on Twitter saying
Yeah.
things like yellow dust is really high in Seoul, you guys should wear your masks.
We always follow the reports so we can
Yes.
see if it's healthy outside
So
or
we
not.
followed the Beijing
Yeah.
yellow dust version
Yeah,
on our
yeah.
Twitter feed, and even when the yellow dust wasn't that high, when we stepped outside, it was like the air smelled like a combination of someone blowing a cigarette consistently into your mouth,
Yeah.
and the back of a car, like
Yeah.
just being in like a parking garage, like that smell. And sometimes there was a periodic fart smell that kind
Yeah,
of followed
yeah.
you depending on where you were. I'm not exaggerating, guys.
Yeah.
This isn't me being like, hey, Beijing, I mean, it was bad.
And the thing is, we're not just saying that the smell was bad, but it had really bad effects on us. Like,
Yeah.
I had a crushing headache for the day that we were walking around outside, even though I had a mask on a lot of
I
the
had
times.
a mask on the whole. I didn't take my mask
Yeah.
off once because I
We
have asthma.
were,
I'm like,
like,
I can't do this.
Floored, exhausted, like we could barely operate. Like, and it wasn't even on like the hottest day. It was on a day that was only like 30 degrees rather than 40 degrees, and we were just destroyed by the air quality.
Okay, not just that, but my lymph nodes
Were swollen.
Were swollen. Like, you know when you're gonna get sick and you feel like it's like tender. Like, we walked outside with a mask on, my lymph nodes went tender immediately. I
Yeah.
started to feel sick. I felt a pain in my heart. Then we went into a shop with the door closed. We sat down for a coffee, and within like maybe 2 minutes,
Yeah.
I felt fine again.
Maybe it doesn't affect you as much as it affects us. We don't feel the same kind of effects in Korea as we do
Whoa.
in China. So we're going to be talking a bit more about our experiences in Beijing and the differences that we noticed in our blog post. So make sure you click on the link here and contribute to the conversation. Also, tomorrow we're going to be posting our wank adventure about what
Yeah.
we did in Beijing. So you're going to see a lot of the food porn shots. So make sure you stay tuned for that.
Pretty much food. We didn't talk about food in this TLDR because we're going
'Cause
to
we're
save
saving
that
that for
for
tomorrow.
But I put 2 thumbs up for food.
Highly approved.
Our question for you is this: if you've been to Beijing or other parts of China, did your experiences line up with what we experienced, or was it totally different? Let us know in the comment section below.
And I'd also like to know, what is a shirtlessness like in your country? Do men expose their nipples and belly buttons, or is it not appropriate?
When we used to live in Windsor, people were shirtless all the time. We developed an actual
It's called, we see a guy be like, Windsor!
Windsor. It is to be Windsor, so not as much in Toronto though.
For last week's TLDR, we talked about being alone in Korea, and we got some really interesting comments from you guys. The first one was from Neda Benjamin, who said a really easy way to make friends and meet other people if you're traveling to Korea is to be in a guest house, because there are a lot of other travelers there that are probably just as confused or alone as you are, and you can form little groups and be best friends forever as a result.
I think that's actually a really good comment because a lot of people felt scared. They kept saying like, I don't know what I'm going to do if I go to Korea. Guest house, man.
Guest houses will help you out.
Hongdae has tons of guest houses. There's going to be guest houses near our coffee shop as
Right.
well. So it's like you go to a guest
Our
house.
coffee shop is in the guest house area.
Yeah, exactly. So on our website, we had a cool comment from Sarah Suzanne Berg, who is currently living in Korea, and she had some things to say. One of the things was that she had a friend who ate samgyeopsal alone.
Yep.
But she said the owner was not impressed with the situation. So apparently you can bully your way into being served alone. But the other interesting thing she said is that she uses a lot of apps to meet up with people, and they go to Gangnam and they meet in coffee shops and do like handicrafts together, like stitching and knitting and all that kind of stuff.
So this is where we want to shamelessly plug the coffee shop that we have opening
Which is
up.
not built yet.
Not built yet, but it's gonna be ready in the middle of July. If you want to crochet with your friend, do it at our coffee shop. It's gonna be so fun. So many lovely people, nasties and friendly and loveliness.
Yeah.
And
No, but that's one of the big goals of this coffee shop.
Yeah.
We were trying to find a place where people could do comfortable meetup, where you can meet people and knit and bring your dogs and cats and all that jazz.
So we hope to see you there.
Yeah, I'll bring my knitting. I knit. I'm just saying, but I don't know how to crochet.
And the last comment was from last week's promposal. You remember that Zhang wound up asking Grace out to the prom, and she said yes. Yay!